David Sullivan has blasted championship clubs who pay players £40,000 a week and manages £1 million a year. And the West Ham co-owner asks, why should the Premier League pay for that? The EFL receives £130 million a season in solidarity payments from the top flight, but Prem chiefs have failed to vote on a new 6-year £995 million deal.
Sullivan, 75, claims EFL clubs are incompetent owners have racked up debts because they do not live within their means. And he dismissed EFL chairman Rick Parry's claim the top flight pays £2 billion more in wages than the other four major European leagues.
Businessman Sullivan came out fighting to Sun Sport after reading our Monday EFL column, which criticised his failure to agree more Prem funding. Read more in FOOTBALLDISCARDEDI was Fergie's first Man United signing, but they left me like a crisp packet. Hot Wheels win a Porsche 992 GT3 rupees or £275,000 cash alternative from 89p with our discount, he argued. The flaw in the system is the championship.
These clubs are having financial problems because they're paying too high wages and agent fees, and some have managers on £1 million a year. If you look at Serie B, Italy's second tier, the managers don't earn that, nor are players on £30,000, £40,000 a week. If the EFL can't work with the funds we give them now, what suggests they can work with another £50 million or £100 million? They should manage their finances better and stop paying silly money.
Most read in football: terror threat, Euro 2024 terror warning to England fans after dangers rise to new level. No hard feelings. Moyes gives brutally blunt four-word assessment of Calvin Phillips. Substars hell. England goalkeeper Ellie Roebuck reveals she suffered a stroke. Gore blimey. Gordon gets red card and MOTM at the same time in never-before-seen moment. Casino special. Best casino welcome offers, but they don't want to because they're competing to get into the Premier League. If we give to the EFL what they want, in 5 years we'll be exactly where we are today.
Why more penalties are being scored? Sullivan blames owners who have proved incompetent, or stop pouring money into chasing the dream of promotion to the Premier League. He said, some EFL owners are richer than those in the Premier League. Yet some clubs have got into trouble because their owners have gone for promotion but got fed up.
Then there's my old club, Birmingham. They sacked a good manager, John Eustace, when they were on the verge of the playoffs to bring in a flagship name in Wayne Rooney. It messed it up. Why should we subsidise their incompetence? Sullivan insists promotion chasing Ipswich should be used as a model.
He added, they're a flag bearer for everything that's good. They've done it within their budget. They're a well-supported club, which helps. But then look at Bradford, who are getting almost 20,000 in League Two and cannot do better on the pitch.
There's Stoke, who could go down to League One with one of the richest owners. EFL chairman Parry believes parachutes cause a huge imbalance in the championship. A relegated club receives £55 million in their first season, another £45 million for the second, and, if that team was in the Prem for more than a year before relegation, £20 million in the third.
That adds up to a whopping £120 million. In the same period, a normal championship side gets £8. £2 a season, totaling just £24.60 Parry says relegated teams also benefit from receiving bumper transfer fees.
Leicester banked £92 million from selling James Maddison, Harvey Barnes, Timothy Castaigne and George Hurst last summer, immediately after their relegation. Sullivan said, "In the Premier League, if you're on TV it's £900,000 a game but drops to £100,000 in the Championship.
Our sponsors give us £10 million a year, but that'd fall to £1 million. Total income drops by 75 to 80%. Some players you go down with are assets, for example Maddison. But you have others who've got injured or aren't in form and you're paying them £100,000 a week.
You can't give these players away. You might have paid £30 million for a player on a 5-year deal, he's had a disastrous season and you're forced to get him off the wage bill by releasing him for nothing. That's £24 million written off. You can't put relegation clauses in their contracts that get them to drop their pay by 75 to 80%.
Sullivan says withdrawing parachute payments would weaken top-flight competitiveness. He argues promoted teams will not risk investing in their squads, because there is no buffer if they go down.
And he added, those clubs wouldn't spend a penny because they'd go bankrupt as soon as they were relegated. Around half of the Premier League teams would not take on overheads in a bid to compete with top clubs.
Sullivan believes a regulator will take £10 million a year out of the game. The government wants to grant powers to an independent body to oversee clubs in the top 5 tiers. They will be tasked with deciding how much money the Premier League should filter into the EFL and National League.
Multi-millionaire Sullivan fumed, "It's going to cost £10 million a year with 50 staff to run this quango. They'll operate from home 3 days a week because they can't get the civil service to work."
Sullivan fears if the Premier League pays more money, the gap between the clubs who have qualified for Europe and those who have not will widen. He said, if they want another £100 million a year, the top clubs want everyone to contribute the same, while the rest want those in Europe to pay more.
You need 14 teams to agree. That's unlikely. So it ends up being divided equally. If you take £5 million off Manchester City, it's not much. If you take that from a bottom club, it's significant.
There will be a bias to big sides when you're trying to make it competitive. EFL chairman Parry dismisses Sullivan's claims the Prem could lose their status as the best in the world. He argues top-flight clubs pay £2 billion more wages per season, according to figures from accountants Deloitte, than Germany, Italy, Spain and France, so extra revenue paid to the EFL would not dilute their power.
But Sullivan said, "That figure is exaggerated. We don't pay £100 million a club more. I accept we overall pay higher, but in Italy they've 28% top rate tax, Portugal 25%. Here it's 45. It's easier sometimes for them to attract top players. But we have a more competitive league because there are more clubs who can pay higher wages."
In Spain, it's Real Madrid and Barcelona. In Scotland, Rangers and Celtic. Here, you've got Newcastle and Aston Villa breaking into those top places. There's not a successful business in the world which is forced to pay money to their competitors.
We could damage the Premier League, which is the golden goose. If that happens, we won't get the TV money we do, everything declines and we won't have the cash to filter down anyway. Sullivan. I love the EFL grassroots. David Sullivan has hit out at critics who say he does not care about the lower leagues.
The West Ham owner personally financially supported his boyhood town non-league club Hornchurch during COVID. And the Hammers supported Dagenham Redbridge when they were in danger of going bust in 2018.
He said, "I love the EFL and the lower leagues and fully understand all the problems these clubs have. Read more. Son STORIESHAPPY Birth Daily. Tess Daily celebrates birthday in style as fans can believe Herregeglam girl Love Island bombshell looks completely unrecognizable after image transformation. When Dagenham were in trouble, we played a midweek friendly during the season so they could raise revenue from the game.
We also used their ground for the women's team so they could get all the catering money and such like. I value our pyramid system and the grassroots of our game.